when I was smoking weed, I knew I see God work wonders in different areas of my life. Wonders. My experience in Russia was very interesting because I was going to a country where they didn't speak the language that I knew, and all I had was my beauty. And I used my beauty to speak for me in everything that I was doing. I drank a lot of alcohol, a lot. I used to drink like straight up hard liquor. It was a Russian thing. So like if you hear that Russians drink vodka, it was a Russian. So
It
like
wasn't
you
a
had
big
to.
deal.
It wasn't a big deal. It has to be something that was a part of
Your
a
life.
lifestyle.
Yeah.
Like if it's not that, then how do you blend in?
Yeah. Rich and non-emotional guy. Or a poor and romantic guy. Which would you prefer?
A poor and romantic guy. Because damn.
So you don't want to cry inside the...
Here's the thing.
What's that?
A poor and romantic guy with me by his side become rich.
Oh, wow.
No judgment here, just a friendly ear. Tune in every day, bring your worries near. Life couch show, let the heartbeats flow. With Fade, we heal and grow. Life on the couch, with Fade. Talk it all out, set your mind free. Life on the couch, stories we share. Fade's there.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Life Couch with Fade. Here we talk about things that happen to the everyday people. We discuss life experiences and issues with the aim and hope that one person is able to learn a thing. This is a no judgment zone, and we hope that people can relate with the things that we discuss and understand that they're not alone in the struggle of life. We have shared experiences, and what we discuss here, we hope that you're able to understand that we're all in this together and there is hope. This episode, we have a special guest. I believe she's personally very hardworking, creative, ambitious, and beautiful. Kunbi Olalere.
Yay!
And on this episode, Kunbi will be sharing with us her experience with addiction and how she overcame addiction. Before then, I will allow you to introduce yourself. Over to you.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you for having me here today, Fade.
Thank you for saying yes.
Oh my God, after so many tons.
I know. It's been, you're a busy person and it's
Yeah.
understandable.
Yeah.
Right.
I love the idea of life, like the couch part of it.
Yeah.
And like I had the intention today that I wanted to be very relaxed where I have this conversation.
I
with
hope
today.
you are. I know it's been a long day,
Yes.
but I hope you're relaxed.
Yes. You're a very good host.
Host with the most. It's the mostest.
As she has already said, my name is Kunbi. A lot of people know me as Ainke. It's like my birth name, middle name, business name. My last name is Olalere. And I am a mompreneur here in Calgary, Alberta. I do own a restaurant called Ainke. And it's funny because myself and my team, we had to do a video of how people would pronounce the name.
Oh, nice.
Because we're working into like a rebranding. And
Beautiful.
And a lot of people are asking, how do we pronounce the name? So I look forward to creating that video. But it's Ainke for those that are not Nigerians. As she said, I am a mom. I am a single mom until I met the love of my life.
Yay! That is exciting as well. That is a story for another day. A separate episode for you.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So today I'm really excited. Let's get into it.
All right. Thank you for introducing yourself. Like I said, she's a hardworking person, and that's something I really admire about you. Like always trying. Sometimes it's not about even succeeding. It's about trying, knowing that you tried, and eventually something will work. That's what I believe in. And thank you so much for saying yes. I appreciate it. So first question here is, can you share a bit about your journey and how your journey with addiction and how it started?
So I left my family in Nigeria
Okay.
at the age of 14.
Oh, wow.
I come from a family of 11 siblings, including myself.
Wow.
I was number 10. Number 10.
Second to the last.
Yes. No. That's third to the last. So there's 11 and 12, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, there's 12. Okay.
Yeah. And I left Nigeria to Russia.
Oh, okay.
That was my first journey. And
Did you go alone?
no, I went with one of my brothers.
Okay.
But quickly after 2 years, I knew that it wasn't the right place for me.
Oh.
And I wanted to move. But the journey started there. I grew up in a polygamous home where there was a mix of Christianity and also tribalism, and also lost and found people from different walks of life. And so I had little to no voice when I was growing up. I was number 10. I was the last daughter as of then, and I had like 4 sisters. But which is funny, my dad nailed it. 6 boys, 6 girls.
Wow.
Every time I talk
Unplanned.
about- Unplanned.
How do you plan it anyway?
And I think when it got to that point, it was like, it's done. But, when I got to Russia, I was very young, and I'm a very cute girl.
Yes, you are.
So at that young age, I grew up in a Baptist church.
Okay.
And I did it all. Like, I was in choir, I was in Lydia, I was in, all the different activities my mom wanted me to be a part of. She wanted me to know God the best way that she thought was right for me. But I was also the child that knew that I wanted to drift away quickly. I wanted to find my own self. I wanted to like that, or I want to leave my parents. I just want to leave. So when my parents came up, I'm like, oh, do you want to travel out of the country? I was open to it. It didn't matter where I was going to. My experience in Russia was very interesting because I was going to a country where they didn't speak the language that I knew, and all I had was my beauty. And I used my beauty to speak for me in everything that I was doing. So I had friends. I was going into university, but then kind of finished university earlier. So then right away, I kind of jumped into that from Bowen. By the way, I went to Bowen a little bit too. But anyways, so then at least with someone who was raised in the Baptist church, Bowen is a Baptist university. It would just be the first choice. So my experience in Russia was where my experience with different types of toxic things started. It was cool to want to be along. In my whole class in Russia,
Was that high school or
no, university?
Okay.
Yeah. In my whole class, I was the only, maybe about 3 black girls. Okay. And I was the chatty person. I was the bubbly, the active, the want to talk, want to be a part of this, want to be a part of that, even though I couldn't speak the language for the first 1 year. Okay. And after that, I started speaking. But then I was I drank a lot of alcohol, a lot. Like I used to drink like straight up hard liquor. It was just grew up from that stage to, it was a Russian thing. So like if you hear that Russians drink vodka, it was a Russian. So
it
like
wasn't
you had
a big deal.
It wasn't a big deal. It has to be something that was a part of
your
a lifestyle. Yeah. Like if it's not that, then how do you blend in?
Yeah.
So leaving Russia and moving to Canada was a decision I made pretty quick after 2 years, and when I got to Canada, I went to Windsor, Ontario, and the first people I met from high school, I went to Igbinedion in Nigeria, Igbinedion High School, and the first people I met were half of my high school friends and also some of their new friends, and that's where
Okay.
the whole more toxic behavior came about. And when I was growing up at that stage, being in university in Canada, I was very exposed to cannabis. So
Okay.
cannabis was, which is also known as weed. Cannabis wasn't even legal in Canada then.
Yeah.
I'm talking about like 2014. So you gotta have a guy to be able to get it. So university was fun, all fun and good and excitement, da 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 da. When I was gonna get married, one of the first thing I wanted was to be with a man that was fine with it, that didn't have a problem with it. When I moved to Canada, I wasn't a good drinker at that point anymore. I would pretty much not want to drink alcohol, but just sticking to cannabis. And then I got a job in a cannabis store, and then
Wow. Oh, wow.
and then I worked in a nursing home that cooked.
But it wasn't legal at the time.
It was not.
So it was on prescription or how?
It was
how?
prescription.
Okay.
Yes.
Only.
Yes, it was prescription only.
Okay.
And then I worked in a kind of like a old nursing home where 60% of our food base was made with cannabis.
Wow.
So I got into learning about oils, like creating oils with cannabis. Had my own customers that buy food through cannabis, like that buy cannabis in food,
Okay.
and all of that. So I was gonna be a mom, and so then I kind of break through and went away and kind of gave that room. Okay, I'm gonna have babies. I was pregnant right after having my first daughter. I still wasn't interested in cannabis, but there were certain things that started to pop out in my life. I was going through depression. I was going through anxiety. I was going through several, like, especially when it comes to like postpartum depression, that we Nigerians rarely even believe it happens. So people
I think there's better awareness now. Trust me.
well, now,
But those
right,
days,
compared to then, it was like you don't talk about it. So after having my son, I went back to cannabis because then I went into the oil, I went into the vape, I went into different options of it. Which was fine. Now, here's the two different things. When I was in university and when I had my kids, were two different phases
Okay.
of two different phases
Of addiction, so to speak?
of
Or
yeah,
taking
maybe
it?
of taking.
Okay.
I'll use the word taking, because it was not something that when I was in university, it was about I was having fun, I was going out, it wasn't something that if I don't take it, then I can't survive without it. And then when I had my kids, it was also not. It became I had an awareness journey. I had a breakdown, and I want to find myself journey. And so right after my separation, it got even like, I think I had cannabis more
Spiked.
than ever after my separation, because then I was like, okay, I don't think I know God exists, but I knew that God exists, but
It
then
seemed like
my experience in the African Christian vibe gave me, and I was married at all this point, and how things were done, and how the approach to the help that I sought when I was married, and how I didn't get it because I expected those help from church and from people that I thought could. How I
be
didn't get it,
there.
I was like, I'm done. I don't think, like, for like a year, I did not go to church.
Wow.
I did not, like I was just like, I want to find myself. I want to know who I am. I want to explore. I want to see life on a different perspective, and then I want to know God by myself.
I have a quick question for you. So the oil, when you use it to cook,
So
or
I
how
would
do
use
you-
the oil to cook. I would.
Okay. Does it have the same effect when you smoke it, or?
It has a even more higher effect
Oh, okay.
depending on the dosage, though.
All
So
right.
it depends, and so it's not really cooking with it, but adding it to the
To
food.
the food, okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
if you cook a meal and then you want to garnish it, you would add maybe like a tomatoes or
Yeah,
like
yeah,
spring onions, and then you add like an oil to
Hold
it.
on to it. Wow.
So yeah, it really does depends on how much of the syringe are you going to
That
put
you
in your
want.
food, and how.
Oh,
So
wow.
that's how you kind of like
I never heard about that. That's
gauge it.
enlightening.
Yeah, I even had here in Calgary, I had a Nigerian cannabis food page where I was selling Nigerian food infused with cannabis.
Cannabis, oh.
As of this time, it was already legal and all
Oh,
of
okay.
that.
Okay. And people knew, and that was it was
Yeah,
like
we
a
had
specific order.
Yeah, we had followers on that page.
Oh, wow.
We had people. We had orders coming.
Oh,
The
my
page is
God.
called
In Calgary. Wow.
Yeah, in Calgary, it's called the Canna food. The Canna Niger food.
Does it still exist? Or?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
It still exists. It doesn't function anymore. But it's there. I left it there.
Okay. So you said you were, at some point, you didn't go to church for like a year. Like you were angry that people that you expected to be there for you. At that time, you were in Ontario.
No, at that time I was here in
Oh,
Calgary.
in Calgary, okay.
Yeah.
So people like church members or friends or...
I think it was like all of it
Just
together,
general.
especially because like I had that phase. You know, once you have kids, everything in life just kind of changes. And then that having kids brought me close to, like, I would say not close to God, but brought me close to religion. So the way I see God and I see religion are two different things.
Yeah.
In the face of that 1 year, I think I read, if not, well, I have Muslim friends, so whenever we have conversations, I always say I read my Quran well. I read, like I was reading Quran like I was reading the
Do
Bible.
you have a Muslim background as well?
I don't.
Okay, you were just interested in
I was just
everything.
interested in
Okay,
every
I just
different
don't want to
thing.
go off topic. So what were some of the biggest challenges you faced with your struggles? Did you even see it as a struggle at the time, or
I did not. I
It was
did
just
not.
like a way of
which
life?
Which is very interesting because I was having a conversation 2 days ago with a friend that talks about how she grabs a bottle of wine, red wine, because everyone thinks red wine is healthy for you. And she grabs that bottle of red wine and she drinks it for maybe 3 days. The bottle is done.
Wow.
Every 3 days.
Okay.
So
Every 3 days.
Every 3 days. And she just shot, I have it with a meal. I have it with lunch and dinner. And it's not. And to me, to her, that is not an addiction. But it's as little as drinking or as smoking or as
yeah, it could be
gossiping or as even way
anything.
of life.
Yeah.
Or as like being not really investing in your personal health or not investing in yourself.
Even
To
TV watching.
Even TV watching.
anything.
It's all addiction.
Yeah. So was there a specific moment? Because, awareness now that's what we're talking about. Like, she just feels it's a way of life. Meanwhile, it is excessive. Like, every 3 days, you're finishing a bottle of, what's it called? So what is that thing that made you aware that, okay, I feel like I might be addicted to this thing, or I should stop it, just make a change?
like I never came to awareness.
Okay.
I never came to an awareness stage
Okay.
where I said it's not good. Like I would defend cannabis at any time because I I had a like to anyone too.
Okay.
I had a book, like I studied it. I saw how it helped people. There are different ways, and it's a plant. You pick up the sativa in there, and it heals someone.
Okay.
It's when it becomes used in an abusive way that
Okay.
gives you the problem. So when I had my kids, I would see cannabis as I would ask myself before I smoke a weed or use a oil, why do I need this right now? So, and every time I always had an answer to why I use it.
Okay.
But I just
It
randomly
justified it.
I always had an answer. It could be I am so exhausted and I want to spend time with my kids, but I want to be focused. I want to be there. I want to be present. Or it could be I want to read a book right now and I just want to me the feelings I had when I was in university was different from the feelings I had after I had my kids.
Okay.
It felt as much as someone using melatonin to sleep. So it's more like, for me, it was more like a medicine. I saw it as a medicine.
Okay.
But I had a friend, he's in Nigeria, and we met online randomly. He's a pastor. And I shared it with him because I mean, you're my friend. So I tell you, I smoke cannabis. And he's like, oh, not to be judgmental, it was a shock. He didn't even believe I would tell him something like that, but I don't really care. I'll say what it is, whatever. And so when I said that, he was like, well, he didn't want to like expecting it from someone in Nigeria and that person being a pastor in Nigeria.
Yeah.
He didn't want to like put it straight to my face and say, because of the relationship we had, he didn't want to break that relationship. So he looked for several ways of how to put it and how to... Anyways, he later put it and said, well, have you ever... And of all this time, at this time, I'd built a relationship with God that I loved. I'd built a relationship, a personal relationship. And I would pray and back it up. Like, if I smoke weed, when I used to smoke weed, like, I would pray, I would drive, I would play, I would be happy, I would be present, I would be focused. So I said no problem in it. And then one day he asked me, he said, well, he calls me Anke, why have you asked God if he wants you to be smoking cannabis, to be smoking weed? I call it cannabis a lot because I worked with it. And then I got defensive.
Okay.
After the conversation, I was like, why was I defensive? Like, okay, well, God, do you want me to be smoking cannabis? It took me 2 weeks to clear that thought of, because I was like, why would you tell me something like that? Like, I don't think he has a problem with it. If he has a problem, it's like I count a million things that he's doing for me in a positive way than anything else would do for me. And then after that 2 weeks, I just randomly went into a small prayer. I was just, going through my regular night devotion, and I just prayed, and it came to my mind, and I just asked. I was like, God, if you don't want me to smoke this cannabis anymore, take it away. I'm not gonna be I don't want to. It's not, to me, I see it like it's not an addiction. Take it away. Okay. I woke up the next morning.
And cannabis was gone.
I always have a stash.
Wow.
I
Okay.
always have a stash. And to me, I have people that will ask me questions, like very close friends of mine, that will ask me questions like, how would your kids relate to this? I'm like, I would explain what it is. I would tell them, like, for me, I don't see, none of my parents were just light drinkers, at fun time, or they go out. There was nothing to say it was because I saw this person do. There was nothing like that.
You didn't learn it from family.
Nothing like that. So I was like, but still, I chose to do it. So I'm like, before, if my kids are going to grow in this part of the world, I'm going to educate them on what it is. I'm going to educate them on the benefits of it. And then we're going to have to talk about different ways. And I could I have my bookshelf. I have a bookshelf
Just
that
reading
talks
about
about
it.
cannabis.
So what happened to your stash? I really want to know.
I woke up so every week I do oil.
Yeah.
And I had a stash.
I would have asked you how you make the oil, but I don't want to teach people.
It's really simple.
Okay,
And
what
the oil
happened?
is very good for hair too. It really helps
For
my hair
hair.
grow. Yeah.
Okay.
I literally almost use it for everything. My skin, my hair, my everything.
Your skin is glowing though. I don't know if you
Thank
still
you.
use it. But
No, I don't. I can't even stand the smell anymore.
wow. Okay. Stash story. Let's go there.
Right? So I had my stash and I had my oil all the time. I wake up in the morning, do my devotion. That's the first thing. I have my oil with a tea. I woke up that morning after the prayer the night before. Like, I've never had a spiritual transformation that is so strong.
Wow.
This is the strongest. And when you talked about this, I was like, I want to talk about this thing because I can back it up. In fact, I think it was when I was doing spring cleaning this year, I started packing my books and donating them out because I'm like, I can't stand this thing anymore.
Wow.
Woke up that morning, as my normal routine, I saw the stash. It was sitting down there, but I was feeling, every time I smell it, I was feeling like, I feel like I'm asthmatic, by the way. So you can imagine someone and I cannot count how many people that I've met that says, oh, they're asthmatic, and I make them a weed oil that has support their health. Like, because I experienced it,
Okay, for
I started making the
yourself.
oil for myself because of how it helps my lungs, and when I want to explain it to people, they're like, "But you smoke it, and it's smoke,
Dangerous.
and I'm just like, you just can't get it." So I'm not gonna go into that detail, but I'm just gonna stick to what I know. If
Yeah.
you like to heal yourself, use it. If not, that's fine. I woke up that morning and I'm telling you, I could not stand the smell. Like, if I hold it, I smell it, and it would smell like I can't breathe. So as an
Wow.
as an asthma patient, you lose your breath. If you're really, really going through an attack, you lose your breath to the point that you can only use your mouth to
breathe.
kind of breathe out and in. Like, as I hold the stash, I just keep feeling like I cannot breathe. I was like, I did that for a month straight. The same stash, the same oil, sitting there. I kept looking at it, and every time I smell it, it felt like I could not breathe. And I was like, yo,
That is
God,
just an
man.
example of God answering prayers. Like, that was a quick one.
I did not, and it's so funny because I did not go into like a prayer marathon. I did not.
No fasting,
It was no
nothing.
fasting. It was just you know what, this guy said I should ask this question, and I know that it's cool because there's no way it would not be cool and it will help my health. There's no way it would not be cool and I gave all the different benefits that I was receiving from it. And then I said, but if you think it's not something that, like, exactly like that, it was not a deep prayer.
Yeah.
Just take it away. Until now, like, if I smell it and I find myself
I don't
clearing
even
out.
know the smell. People tell me I don't know the smell till
Oh.
today.
Oh, I can't stand the smell now.
Oh, wow.
Like,
Wow.
people passing or someone just, like, when someone smoke weed and it's on them and I can smell it on their body, it makes me like literally, it's not that it just makes me feel like icky or like feel like gross. It just makes me feel like I cannot breathe. Every
Oh.
time it's constantly, I'm smelling anything that has to do with cannabis and I can't breathe.
Wow.
So I'm like, well, I need my breath. I want to leave. So yeah, that's one of the most,
That's an amazing story, actually.
it is.
Like, you pray about something today and the next day
next
you're already
day.
seeing results.
Like,
and see how subtle it is. Like, it's nothing hard. It just makes you feel uncomfortable. And
That's
that's
it.
just a sign to
That's it.
And it may just be maybe for your kids. It may be for someone else looking up to you. It could be anything.
Which is funny.
You understand?
Because like 2 months after I stopped, I stopped smoking cannabis or stopped using anything cannabis. I mean, the oil was good for as long as it could last. I had to mix with it almond oil, other like different oil to take away the smell so that I can use it on my hair.
Okay.
And it's funny because like 3 months after, 2-3 months after I stopped using, I met my future husband.
Hey.
And it has nothing to do with like anything cannabis is like nope.
Nope.
And I was like, yo,
See, and that would have been like a deal breaker. Like,
straight up. He told me, he said, if you were
If I
still
had met
smoking,
you.
if I met you when you're smoking cannabis, like
Oh my
it's just
God.
like no, and that's it.
so God just sees ahead, and He just helps you plan your way or plan your path. Like what I see is Him prepping you for the person that's meant for you, right? Making you right for that person, which is good. Your experience with addiction, has it affected relationships negatively?
Oh yeah.
It would have affected this man negatively. Good thing you didn't meet him then.
Yeah,
But anybody?
but outside that, like friends, I had friends that there were so many I had friends that a relationship got broken because of it.
Oh, they didn't like that you smoked?
It wasn't that they didn't like it. It was that it was used as an excuse
Okay.
of the relationship because there was nothing else to say, this is why, or this is why this relationship is not working.
Okay.
There's always something else behind it, but it was always that. And for me, I'm telling you, when I was smoking weed, I stand by my weed 100%. Like, no, I don't,
You don't
I would stand
hide
on
it.
an altar. It's that serious. I would
Wow.
stand on an altar and defend it. So I lost a lot of relationship from it. People felt like when I'm high, I tend to tell things the way it is. Like
Too blunt.
I go deep. Like it's not even just the blunt. I dig deep into
Wow.
it.
Wow.
And so it can cut.
I was going to say, what are the effects? So when you go high, what are other things that you do and has there been any time that you did something and later when you became, what's the opposite of high?
Well,
you now regret and you're like, oh, did I really do that?
I would say maybe when I was in university.
Okay.
If it's when I got to stage where I was going through awakening, going through learning, going through knowing myself, going through building relationship with God,
Yeah.
going through, I would say the best thing that held me down, because I'm talking about the period of about 5 years, was the fact that I had cannabis. That made me stay strong to my course, that made me stay faithful to my motherhood, that made me stay faithful to myself, that made me stay faithful to God, that
Almost
made
like
me...
it kept you together.
It kept, sis, as in, I feel like, because to me, I always see it as, well, God knew that I needed this at that point, and he's like, okay, whatever. And then he knew that I was done with it. It's time for me to move on. Like, he knew that. So I was so together that people always, when people used to ask me then that, like, how are you so in my mind? I'm like, I'm high.
And do people usually know or
No.
they have no idea?
No, people had no idea. I've always been a bubbly person, and when I was going through my separation, I was broken so much that
Wow.
I could not bubble. So I had to find something to bubble me, and I went away from the alcohol completely because it wasn't just working with my system. But with the weed, it was like I wake up, I feel good. I want to do something, I feel. So I was like, okay, well, I know how positive this thing can be for my health, even though it has its own side effects, especially when it's abused and used wrongly.
I don't know if this is a personal question, but did your husband, did this have anything to do with your separation, or how did it was okay with him?
Oh, I knew my husband was into, like, it was a criteria. My ex-husband.
Oh, yeah.
It was a criteria to being with him. that he has
okay.
to. Yes, it was a, oh, we smoke weed. It was not a, oh, maybe she smoke weed, I don't, or it was a,
Both
this
of you
is a,
did.
yes, it was, this is a reason why
You're
this
there.
union is here. Yeah.
Wow. And it wasn't as if you one learned it from the other. Both
No,
already.
so I knew my ex-husband from when I was a very young child.
Oh, in
and
Nigeria?
yes.
Okay.
And growing up as that young child, you would hear it was a family friend. You would hear those were the bad boys. So those bad boys smoked weed.
Oh, okay.
So when he reached out to me and we're going to start dating, I was like, I smoke weed, and he's like, oh yeah, that's fine. Like, so it wasn't. Although he got to a point in his own life where he's like, oh, I don't want to smoke weed, but it's fine if you're smoking
you
weed.
do.
It's completely fine. I was like, that's up to you.
Okay.
It's your choice.
So it had nothing to do with the separation or okay. Do you get, so I know that you've stopped now. And this thing was kind of like what I see is like the heart that holds you, it held you together. Do you have, because I know there's still stress. I know you're doing stuff right now. It can be stressful. And you went through a situation recently. Did you get, like where you told me about the where you were supposed to serve? Something happened that was really stressful. Do you get cravings for it? Like, oh my God, if I had this now, this will make me feel better, or I'll be able to pull through this phase or this issue. If I had this cravings,
So
do you get them?
no, and here's why.
Okay.
Because I built a life routine for myself,
Okay.
and I have a stress routine. I have a break routine. I have a morning, like my life is so into a routine. Till now, even the thought of it makes me sick. So it's not.
I feel like
it's
only
not
God
the
could have
day.
done that.
Yeah, like it's not because sometimes I
not
sit down.
what somebody
it's
said,
Not yes,
or
it's not that I read
it
it
could
somewhere,
be
or I
anything.
got into like I still have a therapist till now. Like I see my therapy every year. Every month. And it wasn't. It even if I just think about it alone, but it's because I built the wake up in the morning. Like my morning routine is almost like a sacrifice for myself. Like I wake up in the morning and I have to exercise because it's attached to my mental health. I cannot not exercise it's not for my body, it's for my brain, it's how I should feel. It's so that's one. Like, and then I take stress breaks. I schedule time with myself alone. I schedule time with my partner alone. I schedule in my calendar. Like since if you see my calendar, you will not I'm booked. Like my calendar is so.
By the way, oh my God, she put me off twice or three times before I got her here. So know that we're lucky to be listening to her.
Yeah, like my calendar is, and I feel like it helps me a lot because it becomes the way of life that I wanted.
Yeah.
It's not about, how people look at a way of life and say, I want to be financially in this or that. Mine is that I want my mental state to be at. Because what made me go back to weed was because my mental state wasn't in the right place. And then I didn't have anyone to sit and talk to. Now I have someone that his only life goal is for me to be good.
Wow.
So it almost like
accountability, right?
You know what I mean? Like it's not about it wasn't that I'm thinking what can I do now or like then I had only me. I think by myself. I sit down in a place like I have someone that pours into me, prays for me, like
listen to your
listen to me, like make me talk, like prompt questions, like disciplined prompt questions. Like so I pour out my whatever it is that want to make me think about even
that.
Like I pour it out so easily that it flows out and then I'm like, okay, let's go to the woods where there are no human beings. Go and hear birds and breathe in fresh air. So
nice. I think you've
Yeah.
kind of answered 2 or 3 of my questions. I was going to say, what are the positive things that have emerged since you got out of addiction or taking weeds? I see exercise. I don't know. Did you used to exercise then?
I used to.
Okay, you
I
always
used
did.
to,
Are there any
yes.
new things that pop out of that?
Well, I got just more peace of mind. Like, I would say
And you're not trying to defend yourself anymore.
I'm not defending anything. Like, I don't see, like, sincerely, like, this story, and a lot of people can have it in different ways. I just, when we talked about this, I wanted to on how powerful God is.
Yeah.
Like,
That story is
in the
actually
little way, like,
it's mind blowing. Like
it's the, like, sincerely, more than any testimony that I can ever have. Like, it's something that I can't take credit for it. You know, like, I can't possibly, and I cannot not want to share about it because it's in my past. Like, I find peace with it then or now. Like, and when I look at my situation now, like, I'm more calm. I don't really want to be a nice person. I just want to be a good person. Like, I don't really care about like what people think anymore. Like, all of those times I was in a place where, I wanted to just make people happy, like, try my best to not, like, now I don't really care. Like, but at the same time, I feel peace in all round. I don't know if it's the cannabis or if it's just the lifestyle, because I know that I've always wanted to, right from after I had my kids, I was a health and wellness coach. So I was very active.
can you describe maybe a difficult moment after the time that you had said, okay, I'm not going to do this again? Did you ever get into a difficult moment, or maybe not a craving now, but something that just made you regret to stop it? But I don't know if that's a good question now, because the smell already
Sincerely.
makes
and,
you sick.
Sincerely. And I feel like,
So it was like you couldn't just go back there. Like
I can't even think about it. Like, it's not, and I feel like when people have addiction, right, they tell you about, there's million ways, there's books, there's this, there's that.
steps to this and steps to
Please,
that.
please
It's
just
grace
go to
of
God. Like,
Okay. You know what I want you to do now? Because there might be some people out there struggling with one thing or the other, right? And then when you said you knew God when you were taking weed, now I don't know if smoking is bad, if you ask me, because fine, it hurts you, and you're not supposed to hurt yourself, maybe that way, but it doesn't do anything to hurt someone else, so to speak. Just like when they say drinking, if you ask me, if you don't do anything in excess, right? That is my opinion. Please don't come for me. And all that. Some people feel like when they're addicted to something and they go back to it, they feel like it's the end. God doesn't love them, or they're it doesn't. God is still with you. You can still come back. He's a God of second chance, third chance, for 1 million chances. Right. The point is, if you're trying and you fail, you can, try again.
oh yeah.
And that's why I referred to when you said you were smoking and you knew God. You had a relationship with him and you prayed. If it was a God that didn't allow you come as you are, you wouldn't have been able to pray to him. Do you understand what I mean?
Absolutely.
So that's just my 2 cents. Like, you fall back into addiction doesn't mean it's the end of life. God always gives you an opportunity to change. I don't know if you have something to tell anyone out there.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Now that you're mentioning this, I can just think about 2 or 3 more things I would literally say I was addicted to.
Oh,
and
please
one of
share.
it was porn.
Oh, wow.
Like,
Okay.
when I was growing up, like, which is very funny because I had a struggle with that one. Like,
wow.
and I was praying
At
to
what
God
stage of
for
your
it.
life was that?
Like, I had a struggle with it from when I was married to, like, I was literally married to, like, separation period.
Okay.
And I would remember that I'll pray to God and I'll be like, hey God, like this thing is not, I don't want to do this. I don't, but like I don't want to go into like my whole marriage and all of that.
That's
But
okay.
that was something that I would go back to. But then I'll still be like, well, I know that you're a God that does not judge me. I know that you're a God that loves me. I know that. And all of this time, I didn't even have a relationship with God. So for me, because there were two, I had a relationship with religion. So, and based off what you said, like human beings not having like human expectations, like what people think, what society think, I don't care. I don't care what people think about me. I don't care what society think about me. And so I only care what God thinks of me. So, and I know that whenever those mistakes come and it happened until I don't even know how the addiction even went away. Sincerely, I don't
The
even
porn.
know. Yeah, I don't even know how it went away, but I knew that for a very long time, I kept going back to it and I kept going back to God. And I kept going back to it and I kept going back to
Back
God
to
and I
God.
kept going back.
And then
I
gradually.
and then somehow it just kind of just disappeared. But with this one, I didn't see it as an addiction. And so it's afterward that we're talking about it now. The first time we talked about it, and I was like, when you were telling me about addiction, I was like, oh shit, I have something to talk about that is addiction. Like, I think this thing was an addiction
It
because I
actually
smoked
was.
every day.
It's just you. I don't know if I should call this denial or self-denial or something, but it actually was because you
Yeah.
needed it.
I was
when you were-
medicating with it.
Yeah, when you were under stress.
Yeah.
What other thing were you addicted to? You said two other things.
Oh my God. Girl, you want to put me out? I'm like, my mother will soon start coming for me. She'll be like, I knew you were smoking weed. I knew it. In my mind, I was saying it because that man you married, that man used to smoke weed when he was young.
Oh my God.
Like, yeah, it's just life. Like, at the end of the day, there's no perfect person.
No, there isn't.
Like, it's
Trust me.
like people just package and put themselves in different areas and
everybody has a skeleton in their cupboard.
something and
Something they're struggling with.
yeah. And maybe and I feel like when I was addicted to porn, it was the fact that I did not have enough faith in God that I kept going back to it.
Okay.
So
How
that's
do you
the
mean?
way I see it. Because when I was smoking weed, I knew I see God work wonders in different areas of my life. Wonders. And because I've experienced him by myself and I have my own testimony that I could point at, I didn't need another person's testimony to know that God exists.
Okay.
When I was addicted to porn, I did not see or have. I was working. I didn't really have a lot to hold on to make me feel like God is real or God is there or God is present at all time with me or God is, I didn't really. So that's why I said that, like having that strong faith and believing in Him, it's just a different feeling. That became that I felt like that's why my prayer was answered even in the least way that I asked, because I backed it up with a belief. But when I was addicted to porn, there was no backing up with belief. It was just, God, I'm praying because, I come from a background that I should pray. So, yeah.
I think your background, maybe that's another thing that tied you to, even though you were going away, it would still, because I know your mom is a pastor, and
So
all that.
see, that's the thing. My mom became a prophetess, like maybe right after my separation, maybe like 7 years ago.
All right,
She
okay.
wasn't. She was just a regular, person that goes to church goer, nothing special. It was life situations that made her also get closer to God. But I didn't grow up with. I'm from a family where like my family carries masquerade.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
yeah, it was something that was a like yearly celebration. We carry masquerade from my father's family.
Wow.
It's
Wow.
so then that's why when
And
I
you were
started,
involved in it.
yes, that's why when
Wow.
I started with tribalism
Yep.
and Christianity,
That's what
and
you
the
said.
mixture of it, and how unsure. Because for my mom, I could speak of, she was juggling. What is it? What am I? Who am I? And before she saw so much, to come to realize that the only person that could help her is God, and then she stuck to it. So I had that same background of, I'm not sure if, I don't want to go into that, because
That's
damn,
okay.
my parents will feel like I put them on the spot.
Okay, give a final message before I just have I have a few questions for you, but give a final message to somebody who's struggling with a thing or two. And so there's this statistics that Nigeria has the highest number of people viewing porn online. So it's a huge struggle. People go through that as well, amongst other things. There's tramadol and all these things right now. So somebody might be there struggling, with some kind of addiction. Do you want to give them a message?
Well, I think my message would be, there's nothing wrong with you. You are as perfect and as human as any human being can be. You are not loved less by God. In fact, you are loved as equal as the person that classifies themselves as a saint.
Yeah.
You just, in the midst of the turmoil, get closer to God. Don't wait till the mess is over to get closer to God. I think that's the biggest thing for me. Like, not thinking, and when you fall back, just know that He still loves you. Come again. Like, come as you are. Like, come as imperfect. Like, it's not about society standards. It's not about people standards. It's not about friendship. It's not about relationship.
Yeah.
It's about you and God at the end of the day. And it's not about what people think about you. Get with God. Let Him be a part of the story. Let Him be a part of the addiction with you.
Thank you so much. But before you go, we just want to get to know you a little bit. I just have a few questions to ask you.
Okay.
So, sweet or sour?
Savory.
Savory.
Yeah.
Tea or coffee?
Yeah, that's tight.
It's tight.
I'll be in between now, because I drink a lot of coffee lately, but I'm a tea person.
And there's a reason why you're drinking
Then there's a reason why I'm drinking a lot of
But
coffee.
ordinarily,
lately.
there's no reason.
I would
you
choose
chose tea.
Oh,
So that
teas
means you're
are
a tea
beautiful.
person.
I'm a tea person.
Rich and non-emotional guy, or a poor and romantic guy. Which would you prefer?
A poor and romantic guy, because damn.
So you don't want to cry inside the...
Here's the thing.
What's that?
A poor and romantic guy with me by his side will become rich.
Oh, wow. I like that. Okay, that's good. So black or white?
White.
Why?
Oh, because white.
White is just white. Short hair or long hair? I've seen you with
Short
both.
hair.
Short hair.
I like short hair a lot.
So why do you have long hair right now?
Because dreads. Life right now requires dreads, but my whole life I've had low cuts. I love short hair. I'm a short hair person.
All right, that's it. Thank you so much, Kunbi. It's been very, very, very. It's been a beautiful conversation. I have learned a lot from you. I have learned, and I'm sure a lot of people have learned one thing or two. And remember, guys, this is a no judgment zone. We're not talking here so that, we want to expose anyone or we want them to be judged. We're doing this so that people out there understand that they're not alone in the struggle of life. Life is hard.
Oh, it is.
Life is hard. And sometimes
Extreme.
when you're going through something and you find that, other people go through those things as well, it makes you feel better. Like it makes you,
Like
you
you're
may
not
not even
alone.
know them personally, but it makes you feel like, okay, I'm not in this alone. There are other people going through this as well. And that's why we do this. It's been such a beautiful time talking to you.
Thank you.
Looking at your beautiful face.
Thank you.
So, thank you so much for sticking with us throughout this episode. Please like, share, comment, share your opinion. Please let us hear from you. And until next time on Live Couch with Lady.